Imagine living in a city that is, at the same time, the heart of Christian, Jewish, and Islamic faiths, and that, with each passing season, could be threatened by powerful armies coming from all corners of the world. This was daily life in Jerusalem during the reign of Baldwin IV, the Leper King. Today, we will dive into the narrow streets and imposing walls of the Holy City in the 12th century, in a time when faith, fear, and hope walked side by side. What was it like for its inhabitants to live with the constant tension of imminent sieges? How did they prepare to resist enemies like Saladin? And how did the young and courageous Baldwin, facing internal intrigues, shape the destiny of this legendary city? Stay with us until the end of this video to discover how the spirit of Jerusalem endured amidst so many trials, in an era when every bell that rang could announce a siege or a miracle. In the 12th century, the Latin kingdom of Jerusalem was a fragile Christian stronghold embedded in the heart of the Middle East. Founded after the First Crusade, the kingdom depended on the constant arrival of pilgrims and European reinforcements to withstand the pressure of increasingly organized Muslim forces. During the reign of Baldwin IV, the most powerful threat came from Saladin, the charismatic sultan who unified Egypt and Syria. Internally, Jerusalem also faced political divisions among ambitious barons and military orders, like the Templars and Hospitallers. In this complex and unstable scenario, the daily life of the local population was marked by intense faith and the constant fear of new sieges and battles. Living in Jerusalem under Baldwin's reign meant experiencing the routine of constant tension. The city's massive walls, built and reinforced over decades, were both a symbol and a shield for the faithful, but also a silent witness to the danger that surrounded them. Along the stone streets, the sound of church bells mixed with the murmur of markets and prayers in Latin, Greek, Arabic, and Armenian, composing a vibrant yet always alert human tapestry. During the imminent siege, the city was transformed. Blacksmiths produced weapons and repaired armor at a frantic pace, while monks and clerics organized processions, pleading for divine intervention. Families stored food in improvised hiding places, while soldiers and knights patrolled the walls, watchful for any movement on the horizon. Baldwin's position was both heroic and tragic. Despite advanced leprosy, the young king showed impressive energy in preparing for possible attacks. Aware of the kingdom's fragility, he encouraged the strengthening of defenses and maintained constant vigilance against external threats and internal betrayals. His advisors, among them powerful figures like Raymond III of Tripoli, did not always share the same interests, making the political game as dangerous as Saladin's armies. The civilian population, composed of Latins, Greeks, Syrians, Armenians, and Jews, lived between hope and terror. Newly arrived pilgrims were often recruited for the defense of the city or sought refuge in the churches. There was a real fear that the city, so sacred to so many religions, could be desecrated at any moment. In the surrounding areas, sentinels atop towers closely watched the movement of enemy troops. The fear of hunger was as real as the fear of the sword. When signs of armies appeared, the gates were shut and the city entered a state of prayer and preparation. Baldwin also understood the psychological value of faith. With the help of the clergy, he promoted solemn masses and internal pilgrimages to keep morale high. Sacred icons, such as fragments of the True Cross, were displayed in dramatic processions that crossed the city, pleading for divine protection. However, internal tension increased. Distrust among the different ethnic and religious groups grew in times of crisis. The Leper King, though admired for his courage, had to deal with conspiracies and betrayals as his weakened health opened the way for disputes over succession and military leadership. At that moment, Jerusalem was more than a city. It was a living symbol of besieged Christian faith, a precarious bastion upheld by the heroism of its defenders and the hope of its inhabitants. Each dawn could bring peace or the thunder of war drums, announcing that once again the holy city would be put to the test. In the squares, even amidst the tension, merchants continued their activities, selling everything from spices to fine fabrics. It was a conscious effort to maintain normalcy, as if psychological resistance itself were a weapon against fear. The churches, especially the Holy Sepulchre, became centers of refuge and hope, with the faithful gathered in continuous prayer, seeking comfort in the face of an uncertain fate. Baldwin, even with the physical limitations imposed by leprosy, made a point of appearing in public, mounted on his horse or carried in litters when necessary, reinforcing the image of a king who would not abandon his people. His mere presence in processions and inspections of the walls was a powerful gesture of leadership. Many accounts from the time, such as those by William of Tyre, speak of his unwavering courage, which inspired soldiers and civilians to stand firm in the face of danger. When news arrived that Saladin was gathering troops, Jerusalem entered an even more intense phase of preparation. Weapon workshops worked day and night, stocking crossbows, spears, and boiling oil for the defense of the walls. Women and children contributed as best they could, preparing provisions, carrying water, and organizing supplies in strategic locations. The religious spirit reached its peak. Clerics called for collective fasts and large penitential processions, in which the population, barefoot and dressed in hair shirts, walked through the streets of the city, begging for God's mercy. The true cross was raised on improvised altars, and special masses were celebrated without cease. When Saladin did in fact launch his offensives, such as the campaign of 1179, Jerusalem resisted largely thanks to the meticulous preparation imposed by Baldwin. Even weakened by disease, the young king demonstrated remarkable strategic cunning. He knew how to choose the moments for direct confrontation and the moments for passive resistance, protecting his capital like a chess player protects his king. The psychological impact of the siege and the constant threat was profound. For many inhabitants, Jerusalem was not just a city to defend, it was the earthly manifestation of the divine promise. The belief that God would protect the city, reinforced by Baldwin's actions, kept the resistance alive even in the darkest moments. Even so, every victory was only temporary. The imminent siege never completely disappeared. The population, though resilient, bore the scars of fear, faith, and hope, living between the glory of processions and the ever-present shadow of war. It was this indomitable spirit that made Jerusalem a city unlike any other on earth, and that made Baldwin's reign a legendary era in the history of Christendom. The story of Jerusalem under Baldwin's reign is a testament to the resilience of faith and human courage in times of extreme adversity. Amid leprosy, political intrigue, and constant military threats, the young king and his people kept the flame of hope alive in the holy city, turning each challenge into a test of devotion and bravery. Baldwin, the Leper King, did not merely rule Jerusalem, he embodied its spirit. His leadership, even physically limited, inspired an entire city to stand firm in the face of great danger. Under his command, Jerusalem was not just a fortress of stone, but a bastion of living, vibrant, and indomitable faith. If you enjoyed learning about this fascinating period of medieval history, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment telling us what impressed you the most, and subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories from the past. See you in the next episode.